Welcome back to Standing in the Gaps News Deep Dive. We like to keep things real here. No left, no right, just facts so you can decide for yourself.
Yeah.
Today we're going deep on a potential post-war scenario for Ukraine. We're talking about Ukraine potentially making some serious deals with the U.S.
Using their vast natural resources as leverage. This New York Post article, it's an exclusive interview with retired General Keith Kellogg. He was Trump's special envoy to the Ukrainian conflict. He suggests these deals could be worth billions, maybe even trillions of dollars.
Trillions with a T. Hit that like button if you think that's as wild as I do. But let's back up for a second and set the scene.
Yeah.
We all know the situation in Ukraine is beyond rough. Cities are just devastated, some are being compared to Gaza, and everyone's hoping for some kind of resolution.
Kellogg's argument, at least how it's presented in this article, is that the U.S. really needs to avoid repeating what he sees as a mistake from the Iraq War. The U.S. made some major sacrifices but didn't secure any oil contracts. He's saying, and this is reportedly Trump's stance as well, that if the U.S. is going to be helping Ukraine, there needs to be something in it for America.
So what's in it for the U.S.? Seems like Ukraine is practically sitting on a gold mine.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt, and guess what's inside it?
Or a mineral mine, I guess. I mean, they hold something like 5% of the world's mineral resources.
5%, that's a huge amount.
That's insane.
And it's not just any old rocks and dirt. We're talking titanium, uranium, iron, manganese, lithium, even rare earth minerals. It's all there.
Okay, so break it down for me. What are those and why should we care?
These minerals are essential for all kinds of industries, and some of them, especially the rare earth minerals, are vital for our national security. Take titanium, for example. Maybe you don't think about it every day, but it's everywhere. Aerospace, defense, even medicine relies on it. And guess what? Ukraine has 7% of the global supply. That's the largest reserve in all of Europe.
So you're saying that this is a big deal because right now the U.S. relies on countries like China and Russia for titanium.
Getting access to Ukraine's reserves could be a game changer for the U.S. Less reliance on countries we don't always agree with.
So it's about reducing dependence. Makes sense. I read something about lithium, too.
Ukraine has tons of lithium, and with that being the key ingredient in batteries for everything these days, smartphones, electric cars, that's a really big deal. Plus, there's even talk of the U.S. getting involved in Ukraine's energy sector. This deal could touch on a lot of different areas.
So this isn't just some small-time thing. Most of these valuable resources are in central, northern, and western Ukraine, right? That's out of Putin's reach, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Zelensky himself has actually spoken about the importance of protecting the Dnipro region in central Ukraine. It's incredibly resource-rich.
So that makes me wonder, if Russia isn't after these resources, then what's the real goal here? Sure, the Donbas region, the part that Russia already controls, has some rare earth minerals, but are those really the main reason for the invasion? I mean, what do you think?
That's the million-dollar question. There are probably a lot of different factors involved. It's complex. But what we do know is that Ukraine has a ton to offer in terms of natural resources, and it seems like Zelensky's willing to use them as bargaining chips to reach some kind of peace settlement. He even said, and I quote, "If we are talking about a deal, then let's do a deal. We are only for it."
Wow, that's pretty straightforward.
It is.
So what do you think is going on here? Drop a comment below and let us know. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future deep dives. We love getting into the nitty-gritty of these complex issues, and your support, well, it means the world to us. But honestly, we need to be real for a second. For us to really make a difference, we need to reach a wider audience.
Exactly. And that's why we're running a GoFundMe campaign. We need to upgrade our production quality.
We're talking new webcams, studio mics, editing computers, the whole 9 yards. Every little bit helps us get closer to bringing you even more informative and engaging deep dives.
Now, back to Ukraine. It's important to remember that Zelensky's not just looking for a resource deal. He also wants security guarantees, things like potential NATO membership and, get this, maybe even nuclear rearmament to prevent future attacks from Russia. It's a big ask, but it shows how high the stakes are. This potential resource deal, well, it could be a small piece of a much bigger puzzle.
Okay, so we've got Ukraine with all these resources they're willing to deal, and we've got the U.S. potentially stepping in, maybe even getting a piece of the pie. But hold on, we can't forget that Ukraine is also known as the breadbasket of Europe, right? Their soil, it's amazing, and they're a major player in the global grain market. Of course, none of this matters if the war doesn't end. Which brings us back to this potential deal with the U.S. Trump, remember him? Well, he apparently wanted an equal amount of something in return for American support. What that something is, well, that's the big question, isn't it? But it's clear that Ukraine's resources are the center of this whole thing.
It is interesting, and it does raise some pretty big questions, like what are the pros and cons for both the U.S. and Ukraine? What about the ethical stuff? There's a lot to consider.
Great questions. Let's dive into all that when we come back for part 2.
Looking to revolutionize the way you engage on Facebook? Meet MoveMaker, the Chrome extension designed to turn your posts into engagement powerhouses. With MoveMaker, you can easily add your products, links, and descriptions. It's like having a sales assistant right at your fingertips, helping you craft personalized, sales-oriented comments tailored to your audience. Imagine this. Someone comments on your post, and MoveMaker instantly generates a reply, customized, relevant, and designed to spark real conversations. Whether you're starting meaningful conversations, showcasing your expertise, or taking discussions to Messenger, MoveMaker gives you the tools to engage effectively and boost your sales. More engagement means more visibility. More visibility means more followers, appointments, and sales. MoveMaker isn't just a tool, it's your ultimate Facebook marketing partner. Ready to transform your Facebook strategy? Sign up for MoveMaker today and take the first step towards smarter, more impactful engagement. MoveMaker, engage smarter, sell better. MoveMaker is brought to you by The King's Company. Look in the description for more information.
It really is fascinating to think about all the ways this kind of deal could change things. We're talking about the possibility of reshaping the whole global landscape when it comes to resources.
No doubt. And for the U.S., it seems like a no-brainer, right? Secure access to all these resources from Ukraine, reduce our reliance on China and Russia, seems like a win-win. But then you start thinking, are we taking advantage of Ukraine here?
It's so important to make sure there are safeguards in place so that Ukraine benefits from this deal too. It has to be fair. And then you think about global commodity prices. How would a deal like this impact all that?
What about the environmental impact? I mean, getting all those resources out of the ground, processing them, that can't be good for the environment.
Those are the details that people don't always think about at first, but they're really important. We can't just be focused on the short-term benefits. We have to think about the long-term sustainability of any kind of resource extraction.
It's not just about the stuff we dig up either. We have to think about the people. How would this affect everyday Ukrainians? Would they see any of the benefits? Or would it just make a few people rich?
Yeah, that's the key question. Ukraine has had its struggles with corruption. How can we make sure that any agreement is transparent, that it's accountable, and that it actually helps the people?
Transparency is key, right? That's the foundation for trust. It's how we make sure any potential deal serves the people of Ukraine, not just the people in power.
Exactly. But let's step back for a minute and think about the big picture, the geopolitics of it all. How would Russia react to a major U.S. investment in Ukraine? Could this make things even worse between them? There are so many moving parts to this situation.
Good point. This could have consequences way beyond just economics. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
If you're finding this deep dive as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button.
It really does highlight how interconnected everything is these days. We can't just accept what we see in the headlines. Dig deeper, ask questions, and form your own opinions.
Couldn't agree more. That's what we're all about here at the Standing in the Gaps News Deep Dive, empowering you with the information you need to understand this increasingly complex world.
We want you to be a part of the conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments, challenge us, help us all get a better grasp on what's really going on.
Speaking of being a part of the conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. It helps us reach more people and keep this discussion going. And if you really want to support our work, check out our GoFundMe campaign.
Your contributions help us upgrade our equipment and make our content even better. And every little bit helps us get closer to our goal of bringing you the most informative and engaging deep dives possible.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the risks and rewards, the importance of transparency and accountability, and even the potential for things to get messy geopolitically. But there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to look at.
We spent a lot of time talking about the economic and geopolitical side of things, but what about those security guarantees that Zelensky wants? How do those fit into all of this?
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about the situation in Ukraine, their incredible natural resources, and the possibility of a post-war deal with the U.S. Plus, we touched on all the geopolitical and ethical questions that come up when you start talking about these kinds of agreements.
It's a complex issue, no doubt about it, and the potential consequences are far-reaching.
Let's step back for a moment and think about the big picture. What does all this mean For Ukraine, for U.S. foreign policy, for the global balance of power.
One thing is for sure, the outcome of this war and any deals that come out of it will have a lasting impact. We're talking about Ukraine's future, its relationship with the U.S. and Russia, its place in the global economy. It's all up in the air right now.
And for the U.S., this is a real opportunity to rethink how we do things. Do we stick with relying on countries we don't always agree with for essential resources? Or do we diversify our supply chains and build stronger partnerships with countries like Ukraine?
Tough choices. It's about national security, economic stability, and at the end of the day, our values. What kind of world do we want to live in? A world where resources are just pawns in a global power game, or one where cooperation and mutual benefit are the driving forces?
Those are some deep questions, but they're the kinds of questions we need to be asking ourselves right now. The decisions that are being made today will shape the world we live in tomorrow.
Exactly. That's why we encourage you, our listeners, to really think about all of this, to be critical, to form your own informed opinions. Don't just buy into the narratives you're being fed. Do your research, challenge assumptions, and be a part of shaping the future you want.
And remember, we're here to help you make sense of it all. So keep those likes and comments coming, subscribe to our channel, and tell your friends about the Standing in the Gaps News Deep Dive. We'll leave you with this one final thought. What role do you want to play in shaping the future?
Think about it, talk about it, and most importantly, take action. The future isn't something that just happens to us, it's something we create together.
Wow. You made it all the way to the end. Congrats. Thank you so much for taking this time with us. If you're interested to know more about what is going on in the Ukraine-Russian war, check out these videos. And thank you for standing in the gaps with us.